you seen Star Wars?
Today we got the 7th episode of The Bad Batch. This one is called Battle Scars, and I know I didn't make a video for last week's episode of The Bad Batch, for the one with Trace and Rafa. I watched it on Saturday, and I just didn't care enough to make a review about it, but I do want to make a review for this one and kind of keep the tradition of doing this every week. So what did I think about this episode? I actually liked it a lot more than I think I've liked most of the recent Bad Batch episodes. I would argue it's probably one of the best, if not the best, since episode 1, but it's really hard to gauge these episodes since we haven't finished the entire season. But we have been getting hints that the later half of the season, the half that we're in right now, is when things really start to pick up, and I think we're going to see that. And I think we got a lot of hints of that in this episode. I feel like this is going to be a turning point for the series going forward, and I actually feel like we're going to build up to some grand finale in maybe the last 2 or 3 episodes. But before we get into spoilers, just want to let you know, we are doing spoilers. So before we get to that, make sure you leave a like, make sure you comment on this video, give me your thoughts for this episode, and please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. But let's talk about spoilers for this episode, and that is, of course, that Rex showed up, which wasn't a huge surprise, but I'm glad that he finally came back. Rex has been a big character since Season 1 of the Clone Wars, and he's kind of the clone. When you talk about Clone Wars, what a lot of people think about Rex, I mean, we can think about Cody, but Rex has been there since day 1, and we know he survives up until Return of the Jedi on Endor and whatnot. So I'm excited to see if Rex even comes back later on. I mean, they did kind of hint that if Rex ever needed help, or if the Bad Batch needed help, that they would work together again. It seems like Rex is working with the Rebels, or maybe even Ahsoka, and we know that because he said that Trace and Rafa told him where the Bad Batch were, so that does mean he's working with people who are trying to do good against the Empire, and he even said that the Republic's gone, but he's still fighting for it because he fought all his life for them, and I really like that dynamic. I really like him with the Bad Batch. I kind of wish they would have stuck around together a little bit more, but still, this episode had some darker tones. Wrecker succumbing to his inhibitor chip, going crazy for a little bit. That was something I think we needed to see, not because we were being hinted at Wrecker doing that, but because it did show us that the inhibitor chips did have a major impact on the Bad Batch, and if it wasn't for Rex, they would have never had those chips removed, and who knows what would have happened. And one thing I want to note is Omega did say that she did not have an inhibitor chip inside of her, but if we're taking that at face value, sure, let's believe her. But what if she did? I feel like that might be a unique twist to the story, that Omega actually had an inhibitor chip in her that she did not know. That would be very unique, and if the Kaminoans could turn that on her, maybe at the end of the series, maybe to turn on the Bad Batch, that would be a very, very dark but interesting way to take the story, and does feel like more and more we learn about Omega, the more interesting she becomes, and even Rex seemed a little bit perplexed by her situation, like who she was, and he said he's met a lot of clones in his life, but no one like her. I really wonder what's going to happen with this kid, and it seems like Hunter himself is kind of hellbent on keeping her in that group, but even he doesn't really know where to take the Bad Batch from here. And honestly, that's kind of my favorite part of the Bad Batch series so far, is that as an audience member, I do feel like I'm part of the Bad Batch in the sense of, what do I do with you guys? Like what are you guys gonna do? Are you gonna join the Republic, or not the Republic, the Rebellion, and you're just gonna fight alongside them forever? Or are you guys gonna go find your own planet? Are you gonna continue to be mercenaries? What are your plans for Omega? I mean, she's a kid, and she needs to be raised as a kid. She needs to, have a peaceful life. It seems like they're trying to find their footing, and they're kind of getting it a little bit with that character Sid, who I do like. I do think she is funny, and I like the dynamic with them and them working with her. It really fulfills that mercenary stuff that we were talking about leading into the series, that we knew that they were going to do mercenary work. And now that I feel like we're kind of done with that part of the series, we're really going to get into more interesting stuff. Like next episode, I'm pretty confident Crosshair is coming back. It seems like they're going to stay on Bracca, and Crosshairs are going to show up, and they're going to have some battle, likely over Omega. And it's also kind of cool to note that we're on Bracca, which is the planet from Jedi Fallen Order, and we also saw a Sarlacc, which I do wonder if that's the same Sarlacc that we saw in Jedi Fallen Order that tried to eat Cal and his bro that he saved at the last minute. But still, this episode was good. This episode was what I needed, honestly. I feel like it's what the series needed. Like I said, they talked about the later half of the season being very integral in terms of storytelling, and it really picks up. I see that already. I really feel like the next half of the season is going to be engaging and interesting, And correct me if I'm wrong, but we're getting 14 episodes of the series, right? So this would be the halfway point. So we're halfway done with the series. And so far, I do feel like people aren't that happy about it. Not in a bad way, like it's not a bad show, but everyone's like, oh, it's okay. You know, it's Bad Batch, it's animation. It feels like it's really flown under the radar for the Star Wars fandom. But with Rex coming back in this episode and the plot seemingly continuing to pick up as we go forward for the rest of the season, I think a lot of people are going to be more interested in the Bad Batch. And I do have to side note this, Omega is a very well written character. I know a lot of people didn't like her at the beginning. I feel like every time I see her, she kind of grows on me as like a teen character who is in the Star Wars universe. Like a young Anakin Skywalker couldn't do this for me. Even Ezra from Star Wars Rebels, who wasn't in the same situation as Omega, but he was also like a teen, young kid character. I really feel like Star Wars tries to appeal to a younger audience, but yet has never really written a young character that feels real. And this is the first time I've seen a character like that where I'm like, okay, Omega genuinely talks and acts like a kid that you could find anywhere in the world, because that's kind of how kids are. They're curious, they're innocent, and that's what she amplifies in a lot of sense. And she's also smart and she's unique. So I'm interested in what's going to happen with her character, but I also like how the show has really made her a character that probably could be relatable to a lot of younger kids. I'm not that age anymore, so I wouldn't know, but I personally like the way she is written. So interested in seeing what's happening to her, interested in seeing what's happening with Rex. It seems like him and the Bad Batch may hopefully reunite in the future. They talked about that a little bit. I like this episode. If I had to give it a rating, I would give it an 8 out of 10. It's hard to do that because the season's not over, and I can't really give a full scope of my opinion on the series so far. I am a lot more positive on my feelings for this right now going forward. Like I said earlier, didn't like last week's episode, but I definitely like this week's episode. So tell me your thoughts in the comment section below. What did you guys think about Bad Batch Episode 7, Battle Scars? Did you like the return of Rex? Are you happy to go back to Baraka? What do you think is going to happen next? Are we going to see Crosshair in the next episode? It's been a few minutes since we've seen him. Tell me your thoughts in the comment section below. Thank you all for watching. I'm Star Wars Only. I will see you all next time, and may the Force be with you always.